My name is Michael Mastro. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Vastu Creations. Today we were going to look at the chart from Mikhail Gorbachev. May he rest in peace. Um, if you look to the eastern horizon when he was born, you would see the constellation associated with Virgo rising at 5 degrees. Any planet like Venus, Mercury, Mars that is very within 5 degrees of that rising sign has a lot of impact in the chart. So first we want to look and see how the planets are operating and what karmas he came to work out in this lifetime. And we can tell that by locating the multicona signs 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 11. So we see the first sign of Aries, ruled by Mars, in the 8th house. And this gives him a desire to go deeper into the meaning of life and look for peace. He was a man of peace. Then we see the 4th sign of Cancer, ruled by Moon, in the 11th house. That has to do with helping society, being of service to his fellow man. Then we have the 5th sign of Leo, ruled by the Sun in the 12th house. Again, his worldview was not shared by all, so some people considered him an outsider. But again, he was striving for the higher freedoms for his fellow man. And then the 6th sign of Virgo, ruled by Mercury, that's his house chart ruler, gives him great speaking abilities, persuasive but sometimes controversial, charismatic speech. We have the 7th sign of Libra, ruled by Venus. So he's exploring being worthy of obtaining wealth and fame. And then we have the 9th sign of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter in the 4th house, giving happiness through family. And then we have the 11th sign of Aquarius, ruled by Saturn in the 6th house, again, being of service to humanity. So let's see how these planets are operating individually in the chart. We have wherever the multicona signs fall in the 6th, 8th, or the 12th house, the rulers of those signs become functional malefic. So Sun, you have Leo ruled by Sun in the 12th. That Sun becomes functional malefic. That means that when it is close to the rising sign degree in the transit chart and comes in contact with another house or planet within 5 degrees through aspect or conjunction, it can cause some stress. So Sun is poorly placed in the 6th house, ruling the 12th house, and it's weak. It gives leadership abilities, but he did feel somewhat isolated and gave him digestion issues and blood pressure issues that led to diabetes and kidney issues. So then we have weak Moon at 23 degrees. It's afflicted by Rahu, and it gives income through public service and social connections. He was a member of, or he was the secretary of the Communist Party and the last leader of the Soviet Union. Now, weak Moon can affect the immunity and cause autoimmune issues like diabetes. Then we have the functional malefic debilitated Mars at 4 degrees, close to the most effective point. So it is ruling the eighth house, which gives chronic health issues. It's afflicting the fifth house, which affects diabetes and liver and blood pressure, and the sixth house, which affects the kidney, and then kidney, which I think was his ultimate issue when he passed away, kidney failure, and then the seventh house of fame. So, in his later years, he was a controversial figure who, by the hardliners' estimate, lost the Cold War. And then poorly placed Mercury at 7 degrees, also close to the most effective point. Now Mars was, so Mars is again that situation where Aries is in the eighth house, so Mars becomes functional malefic. And then Mercury gives controversial, persuasive, charismatic speech, and health-wise, it's the prime indicator for his health, and so it affects the body and the nervous system, ruling that first house. And he also had some skin issues. He's often depicted with a picture of that port stain on his head, which is actually swollen blood vessels. Then we have Jupiter at 17 degrees, gives happiness through family, it blesses the sun and gives him an optimistic view of the world. In the transit chart, there was some afflictions from time to time that affected his liver, which converts the food into glucose, and also affects the pancreas, which is supposed to produce the insulin. Then there's weak infant state Venus. Any planet less than 5 degrees is said to be an infant state and cannot promote or protect its own significations. So this Venus gives wealth and fame through his diplomatic abilities, but because it was a little bit weak, it affected his kidneys. Then we have functional malefic old age Saturn. So again, any sign that's in the 6th, 8th, or 12th, the ruler becomes functional malefic. And so you have Aquarius in the 6th house ruled by Saturn. So Saturn and that 6th house has to do with health issues, and also it is remedied through service. So he's all about service to the working class. Saturn is the working class people as well. And I think this gave him his longevity. He was 91 when he passed away. And then functional malefic Rahu and Ketu at 21 degrees gives really a desire for higher purpose to bring a peaceful coexistence to the world. If we look at the timing of events, he became Secretary of the Communist Party in '85 during a Venus period with great recognition. In '87, he signed the Arms Treaty, which ended the Cold War and lifted the Iron Curtain. And that's during a Mars period. So it was a very big change at the time. It's said to, by the hardliners that it broke up the Soviet Union, which weakened its position in the world. So that's why he's controversial. In 1990, he got the Nobel Peace Prize during a Mercury period, again giving him great strength and fame. His beloved wife, Raisa, died during a Mercury period also. Mercury is in that at 6th house of health issues. And then he was hospitalized in 2014 during a Jupiter period, again, issues with the liver and diabetes. And again in 2019 for pneumonia during a Mercury period, affecting the health of the body. Mercury's the body. And then he died during a Rahu Venus period. So, excuse me, a Jupiter Rahu period. And Rahu is in the eighth house of death, like transiting the eighth house of death like experiences at the time. And we also see in this circular chart, the outer circle is where the planets were when he passed away, and the inner circle is where the natal planets were at the time of birth. So we see in this chart that Rahu is afflicting Sun, and Sun is is ruling the house of end of life, and it's also in the house of end of life at that point. And then Venus is close to the most effective point, and it is just about to enter. So Venus, for a is just about to enter the 12th house. So, what could we do to strengthen the chart? Well, he was already doing service and to transform Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Mars, and Sun. So he could have worn the gemstones for the benefic planets, which were Jupiter, Moon, Venus, Mercury, or my favorite remedy, a kavash, which is a silver locket containing the Devata yantras for those planets. Much more effective and economical. So you can see that transformational Vedic astrology is quite accurate. If you'd like to get a reading or get a kavashi or learn Vedic astrology and get certified, you can go to vastucreations.com. Thank you so much for listening.